Let's be honest, modern medicine is broken. Patients are dismissed, doctors are exhausted, and mental health care is decades behind. So it's time to disrupt the status quo, to challenge a system that fragments care, dehumanizes patients, and burns out clinicians. I'm Dr. Georgine Nanos, and this is The Kind Revolution, a podcast about breaking old paradigms, rebuilding medicine with compassion and science, and reimagining what healthcare can be when we finally get it right. Because change is here and it's starting with us. Welcome to the revolution.
Welcome back to the Kind Revolution podcast. Today, we're diving into something that still blows people's minds when they hear it. Treating depression with transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS, in one day.
That's right. I'm so excited to share this today. So for decades, TMS has meant 8 weeks of daily visits. It was safe and effective, yes, but for many people, coming into a clinic that often was just not practical. So what we've pioneered here at Kind is the world's first one-day TMS protocol. We were the first in the world to do it. And while research centers around the globe are now replicating this model, we remain the single global site with the most one-day TMS experience to date.
That's pretty amazing. You didn't just join the movement, you started this movement.
Exactly. And for our patients, that means they're not just getting something experimental, they're actually getting treatment in the one clinic that's been leading this field from the very start.
So if you're listening and you're thinking, 6 weeks, I could never manage that, today's episode is for you.
Right. And by the end of this conversation, you'll know what the one-day protocol looks like, why it matters, and what it actually feels like to go through it.
So let's start with, why would you compress 6 weeks of treatment into one day?
The traditional TMS model is fantastic. 6 weeks, 36 sessions, 6 to 8 weeks, I should say, because sometimes we do 40. It works, but life doesn't always cooperate. So imagine being a single parent or a student or a firefighter or a business owner. You can't just vanish for 6 weeks. And for many people, because of that, TMS wasn't a real option.
Yeah, so it's like, even though the treatment worked, access was limiting people from being able to get it.
Yes, it was the barrier. So that's why we pushed for something better. We asked if you could safely deliver the full dose treatment in a single day. Exactly. We asked, what if we could safely deliver the full dose of treatment in a single day? And we proved that it could be done.
And now other centers around the world are following your lead.
Yes, but here's the key. To this day, we still are the site with the most hands-on one-day experience. So when patients come here, they're not just getting a protocol, they're getting the benefit of hundreds of patients who have already walked this road with us from the beginning.
So we're not talking theory, we're talking like lived expertise.
Exactly. And that's why our outcomes have been so powerful. For example, I had a college senior who told me he was only available for a few days on winter break, and if he couldn't get help then, he would lose the whole semester. And within one day, we were able to get him back on campus feeling clear-headed and ready to graduate, which otherwise wouldn't have been possible.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's not about cutting corners, it's about opening doors, making it as accessible as possible.
That's it. And sometimes it's the only way a patient can access life-changing care.
Yeah, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. What actually happens in one day? I want to know everything step by step.
Okay. So we start really early, around 6 o'clock in the morning. Patients arrive, we check them in, we review all their consents, we make sure they're really comfortable. They usually have a private room to themselves. They have some cozy blankets, some goodies, some treats. We ask them ahead of time what they like to eat and snack on throughout the day. Then we also have, in this cozy room, we have access to a giant TV, iPad kind of situation where they can watch movies or listen to music or do anything that makes them feel relaxed. Then we begin by mapping their motor threshold, and that's how we find their personalized dose of TMS for the day.
Oh, wow. So you're calibrating before you even begin.
Exactly. And we locate, usually, most typically, we start on the left dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, or the DLPFC, and that's the mood regulation hub for us in our brains. And we use a special pre-printed cap so we can get precise right down to the millimeter without a lot of guesswork.
So once you've got the target area, does that mean it's pretty much go time?
Yes. Each treatment is about 4 minutes. Patients feel a very gentle, light tapping on the scalp and sometimes some clicking noises. And then after they're done, they can rest for about 20, 25 minutes, eat, walk, journal, nap, and then repeat. And we do this 20 times across the whole day. And by the time the sun sets, they've completed what used to take 6 to 8 weeks.
Wow, so it's a full day, but it sounds honestly pretty easy and almost relaxing in a weird way.
Right. It's structured, supported, and intentional. And we've been really careful about building an environment that feels safe and calm, almost like a wellness retreat.
Should we do the video? Okay. That's incredible. So what started as an experiment has become this reproducible pathway, and you're the world leader in it.
That's right. We're not just delivering TMS, we're proving that mental health care can be faster, safer, and more accessible than ever before.
So can we break down and get into the neuroscience? How can the brain handle that much stimulation in just one day? It sounds like an overload.
That's a great question. The key is neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to adapt, rewire, and strengthen connections. TMS really taps into that property. And what research shows, and what we've proven in real world patients, is that when you deliver sessions close together with structured rest breaks in between, you actually enhance plasticity instead of exhausting it. So we're actually building on other studies that have been done condensing accelerated protocols of TMS, like the Stanford Saint trial, which was condensing into 5 days. And so we already have a lot of that evidence behind us to support this.
So it's not really about bombarding the brain nonstop. It's about hitting the rhythm that encourages change. Is that right?
Exactly. Think of it like interval training. If you go to the gym and lift weights for 8 hours straight without stopping, you'd burn out. But if you structure short sets with rests in between, your muscles grow stronger. So the 1 day protocol is almost like interval training for the brain.
So is it like the spacing is what makes it work and so effective?
So if it's too close together, sometimes the brain may not have time to consolidate the gains, and too far apart, the effect could also fade. The sweet spot is about every 25 minutes, enough time to let one session sink in before the next one builds on top of it. And by the end of the day, the cumulative effect is really profound.
Okay, so it's very scientifically strategic.
Yes, we're deliberately harnessing a window of heightened plasticity. It's like catching a wave. You need timing, precision, and momentum. And that's what makes the 1 day protocol possible.
Okay, but what do the patients actually experience during the day?
First, a lot of patients are coming in with nervous anticipation. They often don't know what to expect. They're a little bit scared. We try to put them very much at ease. So, what they usually feel is like a gentle tapping on the scalp, like someone's knocking on your head with a light pencil. And that's really it. It's an unusual feeling, but it's not uncomfortable in any way.
So no electricity surging through the body or like dramatic movie scene moment.
Exactly. There's no shocks, no sedation, just this gentle tapping. And like I said, it's weird at first, but after a few sessions, most people don't even think about it. It becomes boring. So as the day goes on, patients do start to get a little bit tired. You're in our clinic for 10 to 12 hours after all. Some patients nap in between sessions, some journal, some meditate, some go for a walk outside.
Okay, so the day itself has an ebb and flow.
Yes, and often patients start noticing some subtle shifts in their mood as the day unfolds. Some describe like a lightness or a clarity or even a return of calm that they haven't felt in months. And that can sometimes happen as quickly as in that first day.
So it's not an instant cure, but it's definitely like a visible turning point.
Right. Most people don't walk out cured by dinner, but they know something has shifted and changed. And those effects continue to build over the next several days to weeks as the brain starts to cement in those new positive connections.
20 treatments in one day does sound intense. Is it really safe?
Yes, when it's done correctly, it certainly is. And that's where our experience matters. So remember, we were the first site in the world to pioneer this protocol. And this is the site where the most 1 day cases have been treated. So we've built safety into every step.
And what does that look like in practice?
From the moment a patient walks in, we are constantly monitoring them, checking in on them, just tracking their mood, how they feel, just double checking their whole experience as they're going through the day. We also are using a state-of-the-art device called ExoMind, which gives us real-time feedback so that every pulse is delivered exactly where it should be and makes the patient feel much more relaxed and at ease with this very comfortable advancement in technology. And we never push past what the brain can handle. If a patient feels uncomfortable, which is incredibly rare, then we check in and recalibrate.
And side effects, are there any?
So, in terms of long-term side effects, there really aren't. There are some mild short-term side effects that we sometimes see, sometimes some scalp soreness, a temporary headache, or fatigue, but they usually fade within hours. What's notable is what you don't see, that there's no memory loss, no sedation, and no systemic side effects like weight gain or sexual dysfunction that you see with pills like antidepressants, SSRIs. Patients are awake and alert, and they can drive home the same day.
So you get intensive treatment without paying for it inside.
Exactly. That's the beauty of TMS. Powerful enough to change the brain, but safe enough to fit into real life.
Yeah. So who's the best candidate, would you say, for the one-day protocol?
It's really designed for everyone. We can treat children, adults, adolescents, people with anxiety or depression who want or need rapid results, whether it's a mom who can't take that time off for 6 to 8 weeks in a row from her kids, or a college student who's on a break, or a professional who can't miss work. It's especially valuable too for people who've tried medications without success or who can't tolerate side effects.
So would you say that it's only for people with depression or anxiety?
No, that's the beauty of TMS. Because the way TMS actually works, it's creating neuroplasticity. And in doing that, not necessarily pushing happiness into the brain, it's building resilience and emotional regulation. So it's applicable to a lot of other mental health conditions way beyond depression and anxiety. So what it's allowing us to do is cope with all of the stressors and potentially negative effects in our lives. After TMS, you can just handle them better.
So not only is the one-day protocol convenient, but it's also transformational for people with all sorts of different mental disorders, is what you're saying.
Yes. And being the first site in the world to develop and refine it, we've seen these transformations that prove just how powerful this approach can be.
So right now, the one-day protocol. Okay, wait, what should I do here? Should I just say this exactly as it is? Part 7?
We just did that. Go down to
Part 8? Yeah, let's do that.
okay.
So where do you see this all going, and what do you think in your mind is the future of one-day TMS?
So the future is really combining the best of each model. The future is really looking about applying TMS to a broad spectrum of conditions, and even using it for prevention and mental wellness to just enhance our brain health beyond just anxiety and depression, but even for burnout and chronic fatigue, as well as menopausal brain fog, and even conditions like chronic pain. There's a lot of studies right now on neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's as well. So there's a vast world out there in which TMS hopefully have a lot of applications.
Yeah, and what about the scalability of everything? Could this kind of be something people get outside of major centers?
Well, that's really the vision. Given that it works, the next step is making it accessible way outside of psychiatry, like in primary care work. The next step is making it outside the confines of psychiatry. Lived for 40 years. We're wanting to train more clinicians and build more sites integrated into primary care. So imagine a world where your family doctor can refer you not just to a psychiatrist or therapist, but actually do a one-day reset for your brain.
That would change everything. That would change workplaces, families, community.
Yes, it certainly will. And that's why safety and rigor matter so much. Because when you're leading the world in something new, you don't just want to be first, you want to be right. So every patient who walks through our door teaches us how to refine this and make it better, and we're constantly learning. And that's how the future gets built.
So here's the takeaway. TMS used to mean 6 weeks of daily clinic trips. Now, thanks to the 1 day protocol, we're talking 1 day. It's the same safety, sometimes even better results. And that's the most important part. And the most important part, you have choices. You don't have to settle for suffering. You don't have to trade your personality for symptom relief. This isn't just treatment, it's transformation.
It sure is. We're just getting started. Thanks for joining the Kind Revolution. If this gave you something real, hope, perspective, or a fresh way to think about health, please share it, subscribe, and pass it on. Medicine won't change on its own, but together we can reimagine it and build something smarter, kinder, and create a system that truly heals. This is the Kind Revolution with Dr. Nanos, where science meets compassion and the future of medicine gets brighter, one conversation at a time. Thanks for joining the revolution.